So we need to start talking about our video project and what we want to do. So let's plan like the slideshow, I guess. Who wants to get us started?
So do you know how a lot of the presentations start with like the dictionary definition of like what is climate?
Right.
I think we should start it with that. So like one dictionary definition is that climate is the average course or condition of weather at a place over the period of years as exhibited by temperature. One example of climate is the climate of Bud Robinson. Tends to be pretty cold.
Freezing in here.
It is so cold. Rising levels of carbon dioxide and other heat-trapping gases in the atmosphere have caused the Earth to warm. Like, I wish it was warm in this room right now. And the warming has increased the likelihood of melting snow, rising sea levels, more extreme heat events like fires, droughts, and then more extreme storms and floods and stuff.
Cool. What about the third slide, y'all?
Well, I think we should definitely talk about, the science behind climate change.
Mm-hmm.
I actually watched a video about the science behind climate change and why people don't actually believe in it, And it brought up a couple good points that climate change is not really a major threat now. It's really more future-based, so people really aren't worried about it. They also said that the climate change threats are so frequent that people become familiar with them and it just becomes a normal thing, so why worry about it, right? About uncertainty, so the way they said it was 1 in 4 Americans believe that there is a scientific consensus on climate change, while in fact 97% of the scientists on this subject actually agree there is a such thing as climate change.
Cool. And then maybe at the end of that we can show part of the video that you watched or something.
Climate change denial isn't not knowing or refusing to know. It's about choosing not to notice or talk about it so that we don't rock the in-group boat. Climate change is almost the perfect problem. We've got to do something about it, but every one of its attributes goes against our psychology. It's like that black cloud from Lost. It has no identity, no home, no single cause, and no single solution. It's about more than science. It involves economics, morals, human rights, ideology, technology.
What about the fourth slide?
I think we should talk about what scientists are saying about climate change is getting unusually warm, or if it's just been a cycle that the Earth goes through where it just takes several years and it's the same thing. They also all use kind of different theoretical models for it. So.
The fifth slide could maybe talk about the significance of climate change. Throughout the last 130 years, but especially in the past 35 years, the global temperature has increased an average of 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit. Then the 12 warmest years on record have all occurred since 1998. Each year of the past 38 years has combined to be warmer than the 20th century average. And we could also say that global warming has serious implications on our health, environment, and economy. So, slide 6.
So I think we should include more about the debate and how it's important to look at both sides, both the people who say that carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases are really harmful now, as well as the ones who are skeptic and want to come up with an actual solution that would help. And so we can look at how that potentially it might not be as bad as we thought, but that doesn't mean that it's not a problem. And focus on, instead of focusing on the severe increase of Earth's temperature, focus on smart solutions of how we can actually help people and the environment at the same time.
Cool. What about slide 7?
Well, I think that we should definitely talk about who is responding and what is responding to climate change. We could reiterate the fact that climate change is an issue that there's several issues in it. Global warming is one big one where the carbon dioxide buildup and other greenhouse gases are causing the Earth's heat to not leave the atmosphere. It's also causing a lot of the sun ray heat to not leave. So the more heat that's trapped in this atmosphere, the more Arctic ice is melting, causing sea levels to rise and flooding to occur, which causes a lot of issues for people who live on the coast. And so the change in the climate becomes the change in everyday life, where people's homes and lives are even destroyed. We can also talk about how the carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gas buildup stops a lot of the sun rays to actually get through to plant life. We can talk about the tropics, how the Amazon and other rainforests are responsible for 20% of the Earth's oxygen levels. And if the sun rays cannot get to them, sure, they can breathe in the carbon dioxide, but they can't photosynthesize well enough to give us the oxygen that we need to live on Earth.
Photosynthesis, 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 photosynthesis.
Then we could talk about how humans are responding to climate change. So in Australia, we had a committee of several activists. They met in Canberra, Australia, to talk about how Australia would fight climate change by changing their fuel resources to 100% renewable resources and stuff like that.
Cool.
Saving the kangaroo.
Saving the kangaroo.
Hashtag save the kangaroos. Slide 8. Matt, what do you got?
I think we should put kind of like a visual aid of some of the kind of stuff that's been going on around with meetings and stuff. So I'd say the best thing is timeline. I did a little bit of research, and I think we should start it in 1979, where the first conference of global recognition of man's role in climate, and then jump to 1988, where UN forms panel on climate change, and then go to 1998, which Oregon petition is organized by scientists who believe that there is not enough convincing scientific evidence that climate change is man-made. And then go into 2010, where the National Academy of Sciences released a report saying that climate change is occurring and is largely caused by humans. And then go into 2012, where two different events happened, the first being more teaching showing both sides of climate change.
Like slide 9 could be more about the history and specifically conferences that have taken place to discuss climate change. Specifically, the conference that I can think of is the Conference of the Parties, which met first in 1995 in Berlin, where parties agreed that mechanisms under the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change were inadequate, and so the parties started the Berlin Mandate, which allowed them to make specific mandates. We could also mention that before the COP met in 2012 in Qatar, where parties agreed to extend the Kyoto Protocol, which is an international agreement committing the parties to binding reduction targets. And this is a new agreement that stretches the protocol to December 31st of 2020. Slide 10.
That obviously humans are quite involved in the whole climate change thing, with our burning of fossil fuels and causing all this buildup of carbon dioxide. But, I don't think we're all bad. And, cows, they just burp up that methane.
Humans don't, though.
We have the African Conservation Experience, which allows you to go abroad and help animals, just kind of live and, just kind of keep their environment clean and whatnot. Help the Simbas.
Help the Simbas. Cool. From there, we could go on and talk about specifically other things that we can do, maybe that aren't giving money or giving time, just specifically like awareness. Like, be smarter about where you put your trash. Is it recyclable or is it actually waste?
Maybe we could do something like end with the one Hannah Montana video where Jackson makes the joke about climate change.
Yes.
I think we should watch it.
Let's do it.
But aerosol sprays are ruining our ozone. Aren't you worried about global warming?
Summer grandkids will never see a polar bear. Big whoop. I never got to see a dinosaur. You don't see me crying about it.